Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. In my last video, I said that I was going to talk about Asian reparations. What are they? Because oftentimes you hear blacks use this as a deflection or excuse for why Asian people are doing so well in this country in light of all this systemic racism. So, what are these Asian reparations? Well, back during World War II, when we were at war with Japan, we had a sizable Japanese American community in America, and fearing that they were someone would be loyal to Japan and it could possibly lead to problems, we created internment camps where many of them are Japanese Americans stayed during the duration of the war. Now, something like this in today would be considered an absolute no-no. I mean, social justice warriors would lose it, and rightfully so, because that's a violation of First Amendment rights. And by the way, there were also German American internment camps. But during that time period, it was estimated that roughly about 120,000 Japanese Americans spent time in internment camps at great cost to them, at great financial cost, because many of them lost everything they had and had to start all over again when it was all over. Now, fast forward to 1988, then it was estimated that of those 120,000 Japanese Americans, roughly about half of them were still alive. So the government, or the Congress, in trying to make good on what happened to them, to give compensation to these Japanese Americans while they were still alive, they passed legislation to give them compensation for the hardship that they faced. Now, this was all to the people who actually spent time in internment camps. It wasn't to their because of their ancestors, or with 400 years of slavery. They actually spent time in these internment camps. So who got the reparations? Well, it went to all those who were still alive. All those 60,000 Japanese Americans who actually had spent time in those internment camps who were alive. Nothing went to the estate till those had died, so they didn't receive anything. Only those who were still alive. So this is commonly used as an excuse by, blacks to explain away why Asians are doing so well in America. As if prior to these reparations, that Asians were, broken and busted and walking and living in squalor and abject poverty. And they got these reparations, and then suddenly they started outperforming white people. And that's ridiculous, because many of these Japanese Americans were already well established in this country by then. If you were a Japanese American born, say, on the day of Pearl Harbor, then by 1988, you would be 47 again. You've lived in, or have been well established in this country, and at best those reparations would aid in your retirement. I'm pretty sure they would help, but to say that this is why Asian Americans are doing so well is because these reparations is a tad ridiculous. And if you were born a Japanese American and you were born at the time of the end of the war, well, then you would have been 43 in 1988. Again, well established in this country. At best, it could be passed on to their children. And now, who actually falls under the banner Asian? Because that's a major question in this discussion. Well, Oriental people, everything that we've come to think of as Asian people, Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese, Taiwanese, pretty much all the Nice. If your if your background ends in Nice, then you fall under Asian. And who else? Well, Filipinos, people of West Indies descent. Indians or people from India fall under the banner of Asian, and Arabs are considered Asian. So that's a very diverse group of people who falls under that banner. Well, how exactly did reparations given to Japanese Americans, 60,000 Japanese Americans, benefit all people who fall under the ban of Asian. I would say you have a hard time making an argument that those reparations help all of Japanese Americans, let alone everybody who falls under the ban of Asian. I mean, I just find it hard to believe that those reparations benefited Arabs. If you look at Indians, they have a high representation of doctors and engineers. I find it hard to believe that these reparations are responsible for that. I would say that it has more to do with their culture and the fact that they generally push their children in those fields. And also, by the way, these reparations, they aren't Asian reparations. I mean, we call them Asian reparations, but actually they're Japanese reparations, because they didn't go to all Asians, they just went to Japanese Americans. So if you ever hear Asian reparations used as an excuse, please inform those who use it that, first of all, they're not Asian reparations, they're Japanese reparations. And inform them as to who falls under the banner of Asian, and get them to explain to you exactly how all Asians benefit because of those reparations given out to Japanese Americans. And as always, until next time.